polls now open for Tennessee's 7th congressional district, the election that is such a special election. You've got political heavyweights coming in town from all across the country. It is typically a very deep red congressional district that is up for grabs. President Trump, for example, carried it by 22 points last year. But Democratic leaders have a real chance here. They are rallying around Afton Bain, who has turned her messaging to affordability and the skyrocketing cost of living. The race is close, so close that House Speaker Mike Johnson has been on the ground campaigning with the Republican candidate Matt Van Epps, and the president chimed in by phone. CNN Washington Bureau Chief David Chalian is breaking down what you should be watching in Tennessee today.
Sarah, as you noted, just over a year ago, Donald Trump won this district in Tennessee by 22 points. So why are we even talking about this? How could this be competitive? Well, the reason both parties are spending millions of dollars on this race is because today's political climate and in an off-year special election can produce a very different electorate. And this is what we've seen throughout 2025, not just in the November elections in New Jersey and Virginia and New York City, but in special House elections like this one that took place in deep red territory. Democrats are significantly overperforming how Kamala Harris performed in these districts just a year ago. And that's in large part due to opposition to Donald Trump. So Democrats are hoping to ride that wave of enthusiasm and energy in these off-year, off-cycle elections in order to produce upsets. Now, if the Democrat Afton Bain were to win here, it would be a political earthquake. So this is still a very tough climb for Democrats. But even if it is within single digits, that is going to be a warning shot to Republicans as we prepare to turn the calendar to 2026 and the midterm elections, and they try to hang on to their House majority. I will also note one thing else, that if indeed the Democrat were to shock the world with a victory, that would take a potential vote away from Mike Johnson in his very narrow majority in the House. He's got 219 Republicans right now. He can only afford to lose 2 Republicans on any party line vote. He'd like one more for a little cushion, and that's what a Republican victory would deliver to the Speaker today.
David Chalian, you're the best. Thank you so much. Joining us right now, our Democratic strategist Megan Hayes and Republican strategist Doug Hyde, 2 of the best as well, not to diminish you guys, my friends. This also gives us the opportunity to play the latest round of our favorite game of big deal or no big deal. Let me set the table with this aspect when it comes to this race. Mike Johnson told reporters in Tennessee this: "We think what will happen here will be a bellwether for the midterms next year." And a month ago, he said this about Democratic wins in Virginia and New Jersey.
I don't think the loss last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. We all saw that coming.
So it's not a bellwether at all. Doug, big deal or no big deal? What's going to happen in Tennessee?
I think we need to figure out what happens first, and we'll find that out, I think, pretty quickly. Tonight as the votes come in. As David is right, if this is in single digits, it's a big warning sign for Republicans moving to the midterm elections. Special elections do not determine what happens a year later. We do overrate this, but if it is that close, it's going to be a big deal. And one of the things when you get to election day that campaigns say to themselves, "This is true Republican or Democrat," Megan knows this, is you ask yourself, did we leave everything on the field? And my fear for Republicans on this one is they didn't. They didn't leave everything on the field. And I say that not about Mike Johnson and the NRCC. They have left everything on the field. But Donald Trump should have gone on the ground. Donald Trump used to love doing political rallies. I'm surprised he didn't do it here. We saw him phone it in, but that's exactly what he did. He phoned it in. If Donald Trump had gone on the ground in Tennessee and done a big rally for this, he would have been able to claim credit if Republicans win tonight about how he brought this race home. That to me is a surprise.
Megan literally phoned it in. I mean, Doug really means it. He literally was put on speakerphone yesterday. Megan, big deal or no big deal?
So I think the big deal is actually what's happening before anybody's even cast a vote for this. I think that we're even talking about it in a Trump plus 22 district is a huge deal for Democrats. And it also just shows that the Democrats have a chance to open up the map into places that they have not been able to do in a long time. People are tired of Donald Trump's policies. They're tired of Congress bending the knee to Donald Trump. And so they are looking for a different option here, whether it's a more liberal Democrat or a more conservative Democrat, we don't know, but I think that this just gives Democrats an option to expand the map into far beyond frontline districts.
Republicans are working hard to avoid an upset in a deep red congressional district, one the president carried by 22 points just last year. The race is so close, House Speaker Mike Johnson has been on the ground campaigning with Republican Matt Van Epps and even brought in the president for a phone call.
The whole world is watching. This is a big deal because right now we're like 3 votes up on the radical left, and this would be a wonderful victory for us. It'll be really a positive sign.
Joining me now to discuss, Emily Cochran, domestic correspondent for the New York Times. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So first, I want to talk about the attention on this special election. We, like politics, we're always covering every little race here and there, thinking that they mean something for the national conversation. But what is special about this special election?
It's the last special election of 2025, so I think a lot of people are looking for any kind of tea leaves ahead of the midterms next year. But as you said, it's unusual for Tennessee to get this level of attention, and I think both Republicans and Democrats are taking advantage of all of those national eyes and also of those national dollars as well.
So Speaker Johnson, we mentioned, has been campaigning hard, and he was asked if this is basically these other elections a kind of warning sign this year for Republicans, especially in a district that Trump won by so much. And here's what he told reporters there.
Is this a warning sign for the GOP that you are barnstorming the state the first day back from Thanksgiving recess in a state that went 20 points for Trump and you have to be here campaigning so hard?
No, ma'am, I did this all last year. He just happens to be the only race in the country right now, so he got my full attention. But we're delighted to be here to campaign for somebody who is so highly qualified, and we're very much looking forward to having him join us.
What's going on with this race? How close is it? And is Van Epps in a position where he needs his support?
I think Van Epps wouldn't say no to any kind of support from Mike Johnson or President Trump. He got the endorsement from President Trump before he even made it out of the Republican primary. I do think, considering how successful Republicans have been in this district, which was drawn to favor a Republican candidate, it is making some Republicans nervous. That polls, the couple of polls that we have seen, show it to be closer than they would expect. And I think for Democrats who are still very frustrated about how a Nashville-based seat was cut up into these 3 other districts, I think for Democrats, it's giving them a jolt of energy. It's proving, they hope, that they can either do an upset or that they can close the margins and have people believe that it's viable to be a Democrat in the South.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so many people look at Tennessee and see a very red state. That's how it performs in the presidential elections. Are there progressives, liberals, Democrats there who are hoping for more attention? How do you see that?
Absolutely. Since the redistricting, there's just been a deep frustration. And I think State Representative Afton Bain, who is from probably one of the more liberal corners of an already blue city, she's tapped into some of that frustration and some of that enthusiasm to prove that if Nashville and some other more liberal, more blue parts of the district, if they rally behind a candidate, they can beat a Republican. It is still favored for Republicans. This district stretches from the Kentucky border to the Alabama border. It goes through a lot of rural counties. It goes through parts of Williamson County, which is a Republican power center at this point. So everyone here knows that it's a tough race for a Democrat to beat, but it's certainly tighter than folks were expecting.
That's Emily Cochran of the New York Times. Thanks so much.